Welcome to the Recipe Entertainment Podcast. I am your host, Red, and yes, I am doing another analyzation of the Viola trailer for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Yes, that 2-minute trailer that's really a minute and 30 seconds of actual game footage. I think there's still more to uncover there, and I want to start here. Isn't it funny how Nintendo always loves to basically put giant spoilers right in front of us and us not notice in initial reveals, or in this case, in the key art of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I'll give you an example. In the first Mario Odyssey trailer, if I'm not mistaken, that trailer ended with Mario throwing Cappy at the screen, but Cappy wasn't really revealed. I thought we saw the eyes, but we didn't know what Cappy was, that he was going to be this Kirby-like mechanic that allowed Mario to control all the characters in the game. That was a giant piece of the puzzle, and people were saying, oh, that game looked shallow, or, what is the hook about this game, blah, 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 before, there was like the other trailer, the next trailer, the one that revealed Cappy and all of the madness that would, happen in that game. I felt like Prime 4 did the same thing with this actual key art. I mean, if you look at this key art, you see the full desert right there. It's showing you the open world right there. The different locations, no different from like the Ocarina of Time hub world. And you see the flying enemies in the background. Everything that we didn't know was a giant, component of the game is there. The Lamorne characters are behind Samus the 3, but then you got these characters with the wings, which look like the characters we'll see them in a few seconds in the actual trailer. They look like the enemies, the robots, the droids that Samus is fighting in there. But yeah, you got different weird looking locations in this key art, which goes to show you that the desert is going to be a lot more than meets the eye, like I was saying in the initial analysis. Like, you don't know how many places you're going to be able to scan, go into, turn into a morph ball, fall into one of these. A lot of this stuff, you can tell it's now buried underground. And Samus, while you got this overworld, Samus is literally known for going deep underground and things like that. So I could see different locations in this world being like shrine-like, where it's like, yeah, there might just be an energy tank at the end of that shrine-like puzzle area. But you know how fun it'll be to just discover places on this overworld and, go into these places, and there'd be like crazy elaborate puzzle designs. They could be spider ball puzzle. And it's like, yeah, I came in this place, but I can't actually, complete this yet. I got to come back later. So maybe you go on your map and you put a marker there, like, that's like a lock marker. Like, that's locked off to me right now. I got to come back later. Things like that, like, is really, really intriguing to think about, because, I mean, the implications for a Metroid game of doing that kind of exploration, where you're exploring to get to the Metroid goodness stuff too, but making that exploration fun too. It's not just the skiff in Gears of War, like I mentioned, the 1 in 5 in the initial analysis for this, where it's like you're just going from location to location. In this, there's actually obstacles in between. There's fun gameplay design that resembles stuff like, the Landmaster and Star Fox, or just that crazy fast action of like a Sin and Punishment. So I think, yeah, this key art right here, it just shows a lot. It literally shows more than what we even thought of at the time. Like, it was right there the whole time. And everywhere you look in this key art, there's something there. Like, on both sides of it, there's flying creatures. You know what I'm saying? There's these statues that are very, very Dread-like, it feels like, in a way. Like something that you would have saw in Dread. And I know most Metroids have, your Chozo statues around, but there's just a vibe to this, that in I don't know, for me, it just matches Dread in some shape or form. But yeah, now let's actually get to the trailer so that we can, talk about some of the stuff that I feel like I didn't cover, in the previous analyzation. So yeah, this area is gorgeous, right? And you can tell that this is the area with all the clouds on the map. We'll see that later. But yeah, let's just call this the lightning rain area. But if you look here, this looks like either you're going to be able to run through these tunnels, but it honestly looks more like a mothball tunnel. But then I'm like, you got a bike. What makes you think that that's not maybe something where it's F-Zero like, and you got to drive on the walls and all of that, and you never know, because you don't know where you're going to be driving around. There's a vehicle in this game now, and they showed us a few seconds of it. You don't know how layered that vehicle is going to be, Will it evolve to have like flight abilities and things like that? We don't know. But yeah, that looks like it's definitely something. If I had to guess, I would say Mothball goes through there. You see these three pillars right here. You see them later also in the overworld map. This clearly is a road where your bike could go through. And what's funny is you see a lot of areas where your bike, like you would think, oh yeah, it leads to this, and this is just one bike area. But the reality is that they're everywhere. You know, they were everywhere in the old trailers, and it's not only ever just one. You'll see one bridge, and then you'll see another bridge behind that bridge, and I'm gonna show you examples of that. And that just makes you wonder, like, damn, like, are there going to be areas within these areas that you're going to be using your bike? And I think the answer to that is absolutely. You know, this right here, that transition, I think is just that. Like she got her vehicle and then she jumped out. I don't think there's no indoor area there, but there's nothing to say that there won't be indoor areas to explore elsewhere. But we'll get to talking about indoor areas with the vehicle in a second. I want to focus on these gems on the ground or these crystals. Clearly, you're gonna be able to run over those, and they'll probably, I don't know if they'll give you. Well, I don't know if this vehicle is gonna reload. Honestly, if I had to guess, you know, looking at the key art real quick, right? Let's get to this. Look, if I had to guess, I would say Samus actually uses her hand to make Viola appear, for the simple fact that her suit is called the Viola suit. So I'm assuming that Viola comes out of the Viola suit. And since everything that she's doing in this game, from her grapple beam to the psychic abilities to open doors, yeah, the psychic abilities, I think that it's showing that a lot of that stuff is happening from her left hand. So I think that'll still be the case in terms of, Viola. I think she's literally gonna be spawned from Samus's suit, and that's why Samus has to literally connect. There's no energy in this vehicle until Samus connects to it. It's coming from her, So I think the ammunition and stuff, you're not gonna have to replenish that. That's like Samus's arm cannon. That's regular stuff. Not saying that she won't get stronger beams and things like that. Again, I think the same way you upgrade Samus, you're gonna be upgrading, the things that you can do with your vehicle or vehicles. Who knows? Because if Samus can make this, maybe she can make a flying thing later on. We don't know. But there's flying enemies in the air, so who's to say that you won't be able to eventually join them up there? And I was thinking initially that this gameplay footage that the little mothball bombs were coming from these round enemies, but nah, they're actually being dumped from the enemy in the air, which kind of gives the vibe with that yeah, this is probably not going to be a flying enemy because it's clearly attacking you on the ground. It's attack, but I mean, again, who's to say? I did want to say, yeah, these gems here, I think it's going to be just to replenish like your boost quicker and things like that, so that they could use them during boss fights and stuff like that. Because I can see you doing boss fights on your vehicle, which, I mean, you got this fight and this locking on. They're not just going to use it for these little grunts, I feel. I think they're going to do it in more than one place. And this is what, really makes you think that there's going to be indoor areas with your vehicles. This right here. When you come in here, you see on the left side, Samus locks on. She literally locks onto this thing in there. So maybe you got to destroy that wall, and the only thing that could destroy it is the missiles from the vehicle. But then I feel like if the vehicle is powered by you and the energy comes from you, you probably can still do it with your arm cannon. But then I'm like, nah, I don't think so, because when she jumps off, it's gone. Unless you got to look at that area again and lock on. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally gone. You see, there's nothing there. She comes in, it's locked on, hops off, gone. And then if you look at that tunnel, I feel like that tunnel, she hops off, but it says speed limit. If you actually look at the screen, speed limit. We know you could do the Akira slide, the drift on your own to attack enemies. So she probably could drive through there. It's wide enough for the actual vehicle, which is actually pretty cool if that is the case, which I think it definitely is, which just makes you wonder how big are these actual areas. And then here you go with the enemies that look like the statue. These are the steampunk enemies, and they look very much like the statues in the key art of the game. So I'm guessing that they play a major role. And if you actually look at them, they kind of resemble Viola and the energy that's surrounding this game. The crystal on Samus's head, the purple, that violet glow. It's all right there, like being shared by everything. At least in this area. This area looks definitely like the place where you get this suit, which we saw that area in the previous trailers when they first revealed the Viola suit. And the other thing that I didn't notice in my previous analyzation was this: the gondola like structures back there with the wires from like Prime 3 Corruption. You used to use those to, zip line across to get area to area. That just tells me there's going to be moments in this game where you don't have your vehicle, and those are going to be the way you get around. So if you like fall from up there, you probably fall into the open world and don't get from the one structure to the other structure you want to get to. So you probably got to climb up, morph ball up, run the distance, and then run into these enemies because you fell, or something like that. And now you got to fight them. And that's why I feel like these enemies are really tailor made for your vehicle. And these shots are probably misleading if Sam is fighting them without her vehicle. You know what I mean? Or no, maybe it's just not sure. What's misleading about it is that Samus is actually getting like swarmed here, and I feel like, yeah, you're probably gonna use your psychic abilities to slow down time, to slow down the enemy, to force push an enemy into another enemy. There has to just be stuff like that here. It can't just be you trying to pew 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 them away, because it looks like that's not really working. They attack too fast. Like they literally swarm her. Look at that. It's already, look, 2-3 attacks coming at once, and they take out a nice chunk of actual health when you look at it. Look, that meter is gone with 2 hits, and that's crazy. So yeah, it's clearly going to be difficult areas like that, and I think that's where your vehicle is going to come into play. Yeah, I'm not even going to boil it down to your vehicle. I'm gonna just say your psychic abilities are going to come into play in situations like these. But yeah, you can see that the world clearly it has many ways to be explored beyond just Viola. I think those wires back there are not just for decoration. Like clearly, this is you up there on the cliffs, on the mountains, and anywhere on Earth where there's cliffs and mountains and humans reside. There's always gondolas to get you up there quicker, because usually roads can't get up there. You see a lot of that in like Switzerland and things like that. So yeah, I think that's definitely confirmed from Prime 3 Corruption to be back in Prime 4 Beyond. The zip lines, and the zip lines was fun because there was always little challenges on that, different enemy types on that. So that was cool. And then you get here the Lemorne, and again, I think this is a ability, 100% a new upgrade for your psychic abilities. I don't think this is an elevator or anything like that. I think you warped to this Lemorne place, you're gonna get a nice speech. Would it be voice acted or whatever? Probably, but not in English. It'll just be a alien like the Luminov did, like that. And I think that's the best way to go about it. Then you got Samus right here, epic. This looks like when she first gets this ability. Honestly, this could all be together. You get on that platform, it takes you to this. Who knows? And then this right here, the fact that you'll probably walk by this, not have your grapple beam. And so when you finally do grapple beam this thing open, they're not going to give you some trash. It's going to be something good. So I'm guessing this one thing here is an upgrade, but we don't know what that upgrade is. It doesn't look like a missile upgrade. It doesn't look like it could be an upgrade for the flame symbol that's there. There's also another symbol there with the 3 dots on the lower right side next to your missiles. And I think the 3 dots, I think we know what that is. That's from the previous trailer. Let me see if I could get to that section where Samus is using her psychic ability. Yeah, you see the 3 dots. Even though there's nothing here on the hub, it's like they don't want to give it away. Or when you're using it, you get into this, this purple glow, this psychic slowdown glow, which I can see taking out the wolves. But yeah, you don't see the 3 dots anywhere here. Right? I'm trying to pause, see if... Nah, it wasn't there, right? Wait. See, look at her getting her upgrades right here. But this is clearly in the forest area, which they've been showing off for the most part of this. Yeah, she don't really got no meters here. But I definitely think the 3 dots is for this kind of stuff here. Because when she's using that ability, you see the 3, the 3 beams basically twirling around each other. This one right here. See? the three beams, even though you don't see that meter that we see in the new trailer. But they probably, was trying to hide that. But I think that's definitely this. And what gives, that is the case, what gives the vibes that that is the case is the fact that, watch, um, it's not highlighted. You see what I'm saying? Like it's just nothing there. It's almost like, yeah, when you go into that mode, like the hyper mode in Prime 3, when you go into your psychic mode, that will probably be highlighted, how much ammunition you have for that. And then obviously you have the flame on the other side that could be plasma beam or something completely different. But you see a flame, you see you're in the ice area. It just makes sense. Usually you need flame in order to access new areas. Oh, this whole thing is frozen. You gotta, melt it down or whatever the case may be. So that's not surprising there at all. So again, you get your ability, boom. This is probably, I mean, it's green. What's in there? Like I don't know that that's even a psychic ability upgrade. But I definitely think that it's an upgrade for something. And who knows what it could be for. It's hard to guess when you don't know all the abilities you got to hit. But clearly it's important to Samus. It was hidden behind an ability upgrade. So you got to get this ability. Once you have that upgrade for the grapple beam, now you can get that. Whatever that is, you're going to scan it. Don't forget to scan it. You want that 100%. Don't forget to scan this bridge too, because it's going to break. It'll be gone. You miss it. Now you can't scan it. It'd be like that in Metroid. But yeah, this right here, I feel like this also confirms, the screw attack, which I wanted to be back. It wasn't in 1. It wasn't 2. It was made even better in 3, and yeah, I would love it to be back in 4 and even, build on it and its controls and things like that. I honestly hope that there's more third person aspects. You got the third person morph ball. You got the third person Viola vehicle sections, and then screw attack, that's third person. So yeah, add in even more would be nice. Now this right here, we ain't never see Silex flow, right? And then I'm thinking about Silex being all green, and the green, I don't know, like the green just looks more, like it has more punch to it right here, which reminds me of the thing that Samus opens. You know what I'm saying? Like this. And it's green. I'm like, is this green power floating around and y'all both utilizing it to lead to y'all epic fight later on? Because that glow that Silex guy now, he's all of a sudden floating like Dark Samus. Since when did Silex float? I don't remember seeing Silex float ever. Not in the intros to Hunters. None of that. Like, so this is clearly an upgrade, a brand new ability. And who knows what's going on there. And something else that I didn't notice, listen, I watched the trailer so many times, even while I was doing that, last analysis. And yeah, you see the date, which is fantastic. For some reason, I never even read the words up there. The journey to launch begins. And obviously now you got the date of October 28th. And that makes me feel like, so either October 28th exactly, a little bit before October 28th, or right after October 28th is when we're finally going to get the dedicated, I don't even want to say direct, because it might not be a direct. It might be something just where it's like, oh, an overview trailer, and it's a 5 minute, 6 minute long thing that really shows off the game in the best light that it can possibly be shown in, and the new trailers based off that, so, oh, and also ads and things like that, like there's just, to me, like, still plenty of time for them to cut epic trailers like those Dread trailers. I was sitting there watching the old Dread trailers, and the narrator they had, the woman's voice, where she was breaking down the whole origin, like Samus Aran from the planet Zebes, and telling you the whole origin of the game, and then telling you about Dread, Dread Emmy character, and telling you the whole, definition of Emmy, everything. It was super thorough, and I like that voice. And it's like, why y'all got rid of that voice? There was also Dread trailers with a guy voice, but most of them was the woman voice. And it's like, yeah, bring her back and let her narrate some, Prime trailers that are focused on giving us actual information and detailing everything. Because I feel like we got most of the beyond of it all, even though they still hiding a lot of it. Like, we don't know exactly how the world's going to be structured, but Metroid games have always been so similar to 3D, well, just to any Zelda games, even from when they were all 2D. But now it looks like this one is really going to take from, the Ocarina of Time style Zelda games with the biomes and having the interconnected world, and then connecting that not through a horse and Epona, but through, you know, Viola. And like I said before, I said I hope Viola actually has an onboard AI that yaps to Samus, and it could be something where you choose to do that. You know, it doesn't have to be like forced on you. Maybe in some cases for story beats, but it'd be nice like if people needed like assistance. You know, your psychic, like just having your psychic abilities be also in assist mode could be really cool for some people who might not be, in tune with the difficulty of Metroid games, the exploration and things like that. Because I look at this, people see barren world, I see glowing beacon, I see, buildings that you can go into explore. People be like, yo, I don't see no door in any of these places. I'm like, doors? Who needs doors? Don't you know that Samus don't even need a crawl? She could turn into a mothball, get into anything like crevices. This is what she do. And I just love how like in this open area. All right, let's really focus on this real quick. Uh, you see the statues in the background. You see the ice plates right there in the background. You got the glowing beacon. Again, like I said, and it's a desert. Like there's gonna be far and few things in between, but there's gonna be things in between all of these major biomes, these sections. Like you got the tower right in front. I mean, that looks like the beginning of a gondola style thing that you can zip line up there to, you know. But yeah, even the way they put the like the halo rings around the sky, like the sky looks detailed as hell, and I'm still not completely sold on this being the sun, as much as it's like a blown up satellite. Because if it's that, then they could make the outdoor section stay daytime at all times, and only look like nighttime when you're up there in the snow areas, or when you're somewhere deep in the jungle or something like that. But I don't think so. I think that probably is the sun, and it's just super early, and they'll probably have a day and night cycle here, which this desert at nighttime with the violet glow of Viola and everything is gonna look incredible. Like it's gonna look super cool. But yeah, this is one of those sections where I was saying you see you clearly jumping into the section, the bridge. You're gonna go in there, and that leads you to exactly what you see in the trailer when it plays out, right? Like this whole thing, that little loading screen to get to this area. But when you really look at it, what I see is the bridge on the other side. And I'm just like, so you're gonna be able to probably drive through this full section. It'll probably have section where you could jump off the vehicle and oh yeah, shoot that door, go through it, and there's a whole bunch of Metroid stuff to do. But I think there's gonna be ways to actually drive through a lot of these sections. Like there's gonna be full corridor sections for your vehicles that gets you from one side, like from point A to point B, even within the section. So it's not like you go in a section and you got to do a whole lot of walking to get to the other side. Or maybe that is just like it looks like another bridge, but probably that's just something you just walk through or a mothball. Who knows? But it looks more. It kind of looks huge. So I think yeah, that'll be something where your vehicle could go through. Also, and why not have Viola play such a major role? I know people. There's a lot of people worried about it. Like, oh, I don't want it to be like Arkham Knight. There was so much Batmobile. Yeah, but the thing is, I love Arkham Knight, and I love every second of the Batmobile stuff. So for me, that's not really a negative. And for most people, when you look around, they love that game. That game, the dialogue around that game became even more fonder of it, as the years went on. So I think it's cool to have a vehicle, and I've always wanted Sam to have her ship be more of a companion and stuff like that. Like it was cool to be able to lock on enemies with your ship visor, and have your ship fly through and just rain on them. And a lot of people didn't know that you could do that kind of stuff in Prime 3, but that was cool. You had your vehicle as a damn kill streak, basically, that would come through and just, straight rain on enemies. And everywhere you look here, you pretty much see a different biome. Like back there, you got this Death Mountain looking mountain. Will it be a lava area? Will it be something else? Who knows? But there's clearly, and then you got the storm area right here. And you can see the three little pillars right there, which you're in front of. You see the three little pillars that you see right here in the intro. That's these. And you see all the lightning and everything. You can see the multiple bridges on the side and everything. This got a lot of vibes of like just I don't know, like being up in the not up in the sky, but being in the surface. And the Matrix movies, remember you had to go up into the sky to see the beautiful sky. They got to see it for like 1 second, and then it came right back down to all this lightning madness. That's what this really reminds me of right here. But yeah, you see the actual area right there, which is really cool. You see the bridge that goes to it. So a lot of this, I think there'll be loading screens in between on the bridges to load into those massive, you know, biomes that you're gonna spend a ton of time in. But then you got the forest right next to it, which makes you feel like you start on well, you start where you start in the intro. We've seen the intro to the game, and then you all get warped right to the first area of Euros is going to be the forest right there with the giant tree, which we've seen in the original trailer. Then you'll probably make your way to that electricity city, and it kind of looks like from there is like that's where you get the red suit. But then you probably got to go somewhere else in order to get, Viola. Who knows? But look, you got smoke coming out of this building, so you know that you just know that that's not a throwaway. Like these are things telling you, hey, explore. Why is there fire there? Fires aren't just if this place is dumb old, that thing wouldn't be smoking no more. It'd be done. Like it'd just be sitting there, or every fire be put out. Nah, that looks fresh. Something new is going on there. Are space pirates there? Who's there? So you want to go there and explore. At least that's the way I think of it already. Like I'm trying to get up in this area, see what's going on, scan everything, see who used to live here, everything. There's history to all of these places. That's the best part of Metroid games. Like, if you think like, oh, this is gonna be barren or whatever, like, bro, I'm thinking of scanning those enemies, scanning everything, scanning the pillars, the whole area. It's not only, oh yeah, I could lock on to that thing with the vehicle. It's like, should I just destroy it or should I scan it first, then get back on my vehicle, then destroy it? It's like all those little gameplay elements come into it. And I still feel like these enemies are like a version of these enemies that they could transform. But I don't know. I feel like they just are from the same, creator. Let's just say that. But I don't think they're actually the same. Because the legs look like the wings on the other ones on those. See what I'm saying? Like, but it's probably not. It's probably just different enemies. Metroid always got the spider like enemies like these that crawl around. Every single one. They just make different variations of them all the time. Yeah, but I love this swarm of enemies because you really didn't see nothing like that in the Prime games. Like they try to do things where it was like, oh, multiple different color pirates will come and attack you, but it was like five. You know what I mean? At a time, if the five, six of them. You know, and in this game, they're like, yeah, we're just gonna throw a ton of enemies at you at once. Like, it's cool. I don't know why people are so bothered by Metroid potentially being open world. It's weird because that was the natural direction, progression of this IP. Because the game was always this open world that was closed off to you. And then you gained abilities in order to open it for yourself. And then eventually there was a point where it was all open to you, but there was still more to do. And then you got to go and find artifacts and you're, wrecking enemies, finding secret things, finding secret abilities that you could have completely skipped. And then you go to the end game area and there's some whole other stuff there to do. And then you fight the boss and then you're done. You know what I mean? If you didn't get everything, you could come back and explore and 100% everything. Like that's what Metroid has always been. So Zelda was the same way, you know? And what happened was that we got tired after Ocarina of Time. Majora's Mask did switch up the formula because that was something that Onuma was basically tasked to make in a year. So they changed up the formula due to the time constraint. But right back when they went to regular Zelda, what was regular Zelda for them? They went right back to, and don't get it twisted, they were spin off at the time, Four Swords and Minish Cap and all of that good stuff. And the Minish Cap director will go on to become the director of the current Zelda that we love today. But the point is that there was an evolution that needed to happen. People got tired. We went from Ocarina, right? A little change in Majora, but then we got Wind Waker, which just changed the horse area to a boat area, and it was basically the same game design. Collect the three things, collect the five things, defeat the big bad, done. They did the same thing with Twilight Princess. They basically did the same thing with Skyward Sword. While they tried to change the formula in that game, the limitations of the Wii didn't let them make the open world. But when they finally got to make the open world, bam, the series went from the peak being an 8 million seller to selling 30, 40 million. You know what I'm saying? And now Metroid, you look at it and you go, yeah, Metroid is exactly what Zelda was basically. Like when Mario could only move to the right, Link was moving up, down, left, right. He was a top-down view. Samus did the same thing in a 2D perspective. Link, you could choose to beat the game with 3 hearts to make it more difficult. You could choose to not get upgrades with Samus and make the game more difficult and just have, 3 energy slots. It was always the same DNA between Zelda and Metroid. So seeing Metroid now go more, so this feels like it's going to be more of an Ocarina. But if they could find the middle ground between like an Ocarina and a Breath of the Wild, I don't understand how there aren't more Nintendo fans excited about this, because I see a lot of Nintendo fans say they want Zelda to go back to the Ocarina style. Well, Metroid is basically that kind of game design. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's first person. Yeah, it's not a sword. It's more. I don't want to say sci-fi, because Zelda's sci-fi to me too. It's just sci-fi fantasy. Yeah, they're both sci-fi fantasy at this point. Like it's just that it's potentially that kind of game, like the old 3D Zelda games, not the open air Zelda games. And I can see a lot of Nintendo. Look, at the end of the day, this is just me speaking based off me being a Metroid fan, me knowing how this game design a lot of the times works and where it looks like it's going. But understand, like, I think if they convey this message properly, when what it said, when the journey to launch begins, if they convey all this information properly, and people see like, oh, it's like an Ocarina of Time. Reviews come out and say, yeah, it's great. If you like that Ocarina of Time, it's like Ocarina of Time meets Metroid Prime, blah blah. I think that's gonna make this game sit at a really, really high Metacritic for those of y'all who care about that kind of thing. It's gonna be one of the highest review games ever, because what Metroid Prime is, and it just leaning more towards what it was always gonna become. The same way Zelda was always gonna go back to what was in Zelda One, the DNA of it all. That's what this just looks like it's doing. At the end of the day, it's just leaning more into the DNA. And I look at Samus as like an explorer of the world. Why wouldn't I want her doing all of this stuff and traversing a planet, not just going to an area of a planet and traversing it on foot, but literally saying, "No, I'm gonna explore this whole planet." And that's what's cool about Viewers. Viewers looks like it can actually be an entire planet. Could you imagine going through all these biomes, meeting potential different, not even meeting, but like reading about the different cultures and all that. Maybe there's some still alive. Who knows? Right? So you could meet some different cultures, whatever. And the forest one, and the electricity place, like just different things, everywhere. Right? And then it's like the game ends and it's gonna end with this planet being destroyed. You're gonna feel it way more than any other planet in the Metroid game. Now, it might not be destroyed. A lot of planets in Metroid games aren't destroyed, but there is a trope usually of destroying the planet in a lot of games. So if they did do it here, you'll feel it even more. You know what I'm saying? And that makes the whole planet, the whole game, the whole IP, what it is, just have way more value. You know what I'm saying? It just, in its structure, it has way more value. I'm saying, because I mean, everywhere is gonna matter more, and you're gonna be journeying to it. So the in between, the whole world, it's just gonna feel more like a real world. More than any of the previous Metroid games. And I think, yeah, there's something really, really cool about that. That's all I'm saying. There's something really, really cool about that. Now, there's been people speculating that Age of Imprisonment and Beyond actually swap release dates. That's why you got some amiibos dropping early, and I don't know what happened. I don't really care. I mean, both of them coming out. They're coming out right next to each other, right at a good time. If you like these IPs, if you love these IPs like I do, that's just good. You know what I'm saying? Like you could go from Galaxy games to a brand new Zelda game to a brand new Metroid game, back to back to back. That's awesome. Not only that, there's even more. There's Kirby. There's Aerod. There's also Pokemon and all that. So it's like, yeah, whether they swap release date, it don't matter. If Retro needed more time, that's fine. Every time we've seen the game, it's actually looked better. I know some people now argue, oh, not that desert area. And I say, listen, I ain't here to argue that at all. But I think there's a lot of potential in that whole desert area. But obviously the meat and potato of this game was always going to be this stuff. The regular Metroid Prime goodness. Which I say regular, but I don't actually want any of it to be regular. Because regular means the same old, same old. I want, like, yeah, this should feel regular. The intro. When we look at the intro, and hell, I'll play that intro after this. Like, when we look at the intro to the game, like, yeah, it's very much, hey, we're back, happy to be back, and here's the morph ball, and here's your charge shots and some missiles, and here's a little morph ball section that you can roll through. Oh, you feeling the vibes, cool. Once we get to View Ross, I want you to take all those things and build upon them. And then obviously with all our psychic abilities and everything, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I wouldn't even be surprised. You see these birds right here flying? I wouldn't be surprised that hints at not only is there going to be like technology flying that you got to attack with your vehicle, but there's probably going to be actually organic, living, flying dragon like characters that you're going to attack with your vehicle. Like I said, I think there's going to be boss fights and everything all over your vehicle. And look, another bridge right here. You see them everywhere. You know, this definitely looks like Lemoyne technology in a way to me, buried in a lot of years and years of vegetation growth all over. But yeah, seeing like the little flying creatures, that's nothing new to Prime, but it's still cool to see. And then when you think about the vehicle and you apply, the potential there, like, yeah, man, boss fights. Uh, Imagine even having complete fights against like giant moving parts. Like it's like, yeah, we're on something moving. Like you could even be in space and be on a damn satellite. Who's to say? Like people think like, oh, it's all going to take place on the surface. You don't know that. You don't know that at all. And everything is like scanning. You see the crystal light up on the statue here. I didn't say that right. I said everything is like scanning. Everything is psychic, even the scanning. That's what I meant to say. You know what I mean? Everything is like tailored to her psychic abilities. It looks like even scanning her, putting her hand up to her head, which she's done in the cinematics all the time when she scans in the Prime games. But you could tell in this game they're really trying to put the focus on when you see in that left hand. It's tied to her psychic abilities. That's what makes me think that you will be able. And look, you're always getting attacked by a lot of enemies at once in this game. That was 3 enemies at a time right there, which isn't nothing new, but they just seem like more aggressive. Like before, they would be, I feel like, more separated. So that makes me, feel like, yeah, that's so that you could slow down time to give you time to, do this kind of stuff to attack them. I still really want her to be able to force push and pull enemies. So I think it would be super cool. Look, Metroid has taken its whole the whole idea came from the Giga Alien universe. That's why Ridley is called Ridley, based on Ridley Scott. And then you have now a Tron like vehicle. And I'm not the only one who said, I think it would have been better if it was a hoverboard, but I think that's just the Star Wars fans in us, who's like, yeah, like you see a sand area, it should be hoverboards. But it's like, nah, this is a nod to Tron, so I like that. You know what I mean? Because I love Tron movies. So, and we got one coming out this year. It's a great year for sci-fi fans. But yeah. So you got the Tron now, the nod to Tron, the nod to Alien. So yeah, do nods to everything. I feel like you got some Matrix nods in here with that crazy lightning area. So yeah, Star Wars. It'll be force push and force pull. That'll be the nod to Star Wars. Why not? It's awesome because you see she gets her ability so early. You got that first amiibo that doesn't have the Viola suit. It's just her with the crystal. It's this suit that you see right here in the early areas of the game. And that's what I'm saying. If you got these abilities already early in the game, you got to imagine the amount of abilities that they got. And if the world is more open, they can even have more abilities because you want to separate things and make the access to those things way more difficult. And how do you do that? Easy by saying, yeah, you need a grapple beam to open this. You need a psychic ability to open that. You need a psychic ability that's upgraded to this level in order to open this. You need and you just do that. Oh, you need a power bomb, a regular morph bomb to open that. Everything always has levels to gain access to them. Like, yeah, this door is a missile one, but now you need a this one is a different color, so you need a different beam. So it's like it's doing that, but you layering it all throughout the game. Through its world design, through its vehicles, through everything, and just making it bigger and open in that sense. Like, how is that not a positive? To have more Metroid. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just more Metroid goodness. The thing that you mostly here for anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, how would that be considered a negative thing? It's weird. But yeah, poor ship, man. We're gonna see the ship right here, looking all beautiful and all glorious. And we probably won't ever see it again in the whole damn game till like the end. But it's all good because we got a vehicle. That I really wanted Samus to still have vehicles and things like that. Like, I've just wanted them to build on these characters for years. And look, I know that Metroid has that thing that a lot of like. Matter of fact, you could go on the Halo YouTube channel right now. Today they uploaded a video. It was celebrating 3-4. It was what was I was gonna say 343. It was celebrating ODST. I don't know why I wanted to say 343. ODST. They don't even exist no more. But ODST's 15-year anniversary, right? And in the comments there was it was just shitting on current Halo. Oh yeah, they got to show this because they can't do nothing new. Blah 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 blah. And it's like there's just a bunch of Halo fans who they don't like Halo. They like Halo 1, 2, and 3. They don't actually care for the IP. They don't care for a studio to try to do something new, for the IP to grow. You know what I'm saying? They don't care about none of that. They just want 1, 2, and 3. And if you just gave them that over and over, they'll complain about wanting something new. But the minute you do something new, they'll just be like 1, 2, and 3. You know? So there's Halo fans, Metroid fans that are like these Halo fans, where it's like, I just want Super Metroid. Dress sucks. I just want Super Metroid. Fusion sucks. I just want Super Metroid. Zero Mission was cool, but I just want Super Metroid. Make a Metroid like Super Metroid. Super Metroid. Super. And then there you had the ones who would do the same thing with Prime. Prime 2 was horrible. I hated the Dark World. The Dark World was horrible. The game was horrible. Prime 2 is better than Prime 1. It's just a bigger and better game than Prime 1. You may not like it more because the first one is more like Super Metroid, damn that to the point of being a remake of Super Metroid, and it's way easier. Has less opportunity for you to get lost and less everything. Prime 2 was just better in every way. And it's fine if Prime 1 is your favorite. They're all my favorite. I don't even really separate them in my mind, but it is what it is. They all try to build on it, and people are like, oh my God, Prime 3 this is horrible. What is these Federation soldiers here for? And rah rah rah, like. It's just the word. Oh, people are talking to me. That's not what Metroid is. She should be alone. And I'm like, damn, they can't even set up the you being all alone parts. They can't say, okay, this is the intro and it's a lot and it's noisy and it's a lot of people and a lot of things going on. Then you get to what you expect. Something really bad happens, you lose the ability, and now you're all by yourself and you got to figure things out. And now you're like weak, so you're thinking, damn, now I'm scared. I'm scared of what's on the other side of this door, of this door, of this room, of that room. Should I go in that direction? Oh my God, this is burning me. I can't even be here. You know what I'm saying? Like that, it's always going to get to that. But you can't even do this, what you're seeing right here to some Metroid fans. It's like blasphemy. They're doing this. Oh my God, it reminds me of the worst parts of Prime 3. I'm like, you mean the epic parts, the great part? Like that whole game was a masterpiece to me, but that's just me. I'm just a fan of the actual IP and want to see it grow and do more. And if potentially making the game open, adding a vehicle makes more people like, yeah, you know what, I'm interested in it. Oh, the game reviewed better, so now more people talking about it, and now people gonna actually give it a shot and be like, oh yeah, I didn't really like the other ones. I like this one though. I like the openness of it all. Da da da. It's like, yeah, I'm by myself. It's still that very, intimate experience. But I'm making, these bigger choices of, do I want to go to that storm place right now? Do I want to go? It's no different from when you was playing Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom, you was like, yo, look at that cloud up there. I can't wait till I get the ability to go up there. Now, when you finally got the abilities, when you was up there, you was around and you was like, damn, do I want to do this right now? Do I want to get more? Like hearts and get stronger before I come and do this. You know what I mean? Or you like, yo, screw that. I'm doing it right now. And you in there and you bouncing on the goddamn, on all the damn ships in the air, and then you fighting the enemies, and you're like, that was awesome. And you achieved that, you beat that, great. You know what I mean? Like, the way you play the game, and then it adds to the conversation, you know what I'm saying? To the water cooler conversations of it all, where people are having conversations and we're not playing the game straight A to point B. There'll be times where you're like, oh yeah, I did this, and people might see even footage on the internet and be like, where the hell is that at? I didn't do that. I got more health bars than you. They're gonna be saying like, that's crazy. Like, I'm damn near close to the end. And I didn't see none of what you've seen. I didn't see that enemy type, nothing. You know how cool it would be to have a Metroid game that we can do that in? That we can actually talk about it like that? To say anything that's different from anyone else's experience. Because every time we talk about Prime, we all talking about the same thing. Now imagine for the zeitgeist of that game when it first appears, on the market. Everybody who gets it day one. Switch 2, Switch 1 is available on more places than the Metroid game's ever been. Because there's over 160 million, user base for that game right now that is going to sell to when you're talking about hardware sales between Switch 1, Switch 2. It's probably closer to 70 at this point, 170 million, right? And then having people have conversations about the game and the conversations not matching, but being intriguing conversations to make you want to be like, yeah, let me boot up that game real quick and let me drive to that because clearly I missed it. Like, how did I miss that? And it's like, yeah, there's a little thing right there. Oh, you know what? I drove to this area and just got sucked in by a sinkhole in the desert. And that sinkhole led me to this whole underground thing. And it's like, yo, that's crazy. I never even saw that. That never even happened for me. Like that I didn't know that was a thing. And there could be a whole new ability in there and everything. It's like, oh yeah. And now let's say the person who did all that, right? And now the first thing that you're seeing from this person is I'm fighting the boss that was mad hard for you. But then for the person's gameplay who you watching, you're like, yo, you reckon this boss, like, what is that beam you got? Like, I don't even got that. Like, where did you get that at? And again, I got more more energy tanks, more missiles and everything than you do. So I'm clearly been exploring more than you. But yet here you are playing something that I didn't even play that looks hella fun and I want to experience that. You know what I'm saying? Like it literally writes itself. Like I don't know how you have basically I'm saying all this to say is like I don't know how you got people out here acting like this is the death of Metroid. This is the end of Metroid. The bike is the worst thing. Metroid with a bike is over. It's horrible. It's horrible. Like, oh my God, Samus got a motorcycle. How generic is that? Really? She got a goddamn suit. I can name 3,000 characters. Iron Man, Guyver, you know what I'm saying? Master Chief, Doomslayer. How many people? Power Rangers, for crying out loud. She got a Power Ranger suit. How is that not generic? You know what I'm saying? She's like this Battlestar Galactica, there's Star Wars, there's so many things, there's Avatar, there's so many different sci-fi things that you can say, oh, Metroid is copying off this, or it got something like that. There's a lot of things that's generic, but they're still amazing. Like if you're gonna do that, it's like you could nitpick everything. And all those IPs that I named, you can name them and nitpick each specific one, say they're copying off each other, or this one did that, and this one is just, yeah, that's nice. But they all do their own thing. They all have their own, toy box. And that toy box has its own set of things. Like one has a energy sword, one toy box, the other one has a lightsaber. Another one has an arm cannon. Another one has a master sword or something. And yeah, I ain't gonna sit here and just keep going in circles. I think the potential for this is through the roof. And even if they don't nail it all in this first game, to have this be something that we actually like, not just shit on right from the jump, but actually experience it and be like, yo, nah, that actually made the game really fun, really awesome. And let's say all those things I said about people having different experience become the reality of it. Yeah, that makes it super great. It's something where it's like, yeah, now the next game, you're like, oh yeah, I wanted to build on that. Oh no, I want them to make the world actually more open. Because this was like 3D Zelda. I actually want now the open air Metroid Prime because that game showed that you could do that. And it's like, imagine if this is the best of both worlds. Zelda fans. This is the last thing I'll say. Like Zelda fans, criticize the dungeons, or lack thereof dungeons in open air Zelda. It's like, yeah, the damn beast that we went through, and it was awesome, and they had moving parts and everything. Like, yeah, those were awesome, the divine beast and all that, but they weren't exactly dungeons, And yeah, the shrines were like dungeons, but they were just spread apart. I wanted like a bunch of shrines all put together in one. That's a dungeon. Like, yeah, I get that. Now imagine if this game gives you everything that you love about Prime 1, 2, 3, Metroid, all of them, 1 through 6. It gives you all of that, right? Hell, they could even have a pinball section in there. A nod, why not? But they give you everything, right, that you expect from a Prime game. But then they add this added layer of more discovery, bigger, wider discovery. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think people are gonna just be like, yeah, I want more of that. I don't actually want to go back now. Hell, give her another view. What other vehicle could we explore the world with? Let's Wind Waker this. You know what I'm saying? Like, now let's have her on water, whatever. Again, you don't know this thing. If she's literally creating this with her psychic abilities and then she jumps on it, there's no saying that you won't be flying around in her own version of a goddamn R wing, or God forbid, a X-wing. Oh, see, sci-fi, Star Fox, Star Wars. It's literally Star Wars with animals. So basically, Spaceballs. Again, things pull from each other. I can't stand seeing like this little narrative. Thank God a lot of Metroid fans are like, nah, the potential for this for a Metroid game is incredible, and they thinking the same way I am because we Metroid fans. But there's like this other group there who's just trying to be real loud and badmouth this game. And the last thing this game needs, especially if it's fire, is to be this narrative before it comes out that might hurt the sales. That it's not just that everything that we wanted it to be. Like this is still Retro Studios. Yes, it's been 10 years between their releases. Let's just say that, but it's still Retro Studios from what we know of. And until they make a miss, you got to hold them up to the caliber of the studio that they are. So their name is still their name. You get what I'm saying? So it's Retro Studios. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. They ain't never miss. They ain't never miss. They Returns fire. Tropical Freeze fire. Prime 1, 2, 3 fire. The Mario Kart games that we know they touched, like 7 and I think 8 also, fire. You know what I mean? Like everything that Retro Studios has had their stamp on has been arguably a 10 out of 10. You know, and for me, it's not even arguable. I think everything that they've made, if we giving out tens ever in this industry, then yeah, the games that they've made are 10 out of 10. And it's not because they got the best voice acting or the best this or the best that. It's just when they come together, the experience that they make, usually they be like one of one. The last thing I want to say before I wrap this up, the last thing I want to say is this. Uh, this music, this music, I just want, give it some shine. This music is hard. This is prime music. Like all the music and all these trailers have been great. I'm so excited for the soundtrack. Bro, I can't. Like it's so good. It's so good. That's one thing. Like it's not only the locations, it's not only the game design, but it's also the music, everything. Like yo, what they put together with the Prime games all the time, the feels, the vibe. It's one of those games where like more than almost damn near any other, you got to get the control in your hand and you just got to start and explore the world and let it, grab you, and then you're like, oh shit, like this is crazy. And look, a lot of y'all know what it is. Y'all just haven't experienced it through the mother of it all. Y'all playing Hollow Knight right now, y'all know what it is. Silk Song, y'all know what it is. If you played a Guacamelee game, if you played this Shadow Complex, if you played Castlevania games, like it's that, but it's even crazier. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. None of those other characters got a mothball, son. They don't got spider track walls and speed boots. Samus is one of one still. Even though there's a lot of games that pull from a genre, hell, they could go on to sell more than the entire series. More power to them. It's awesome. Samus is still, the S tier of it all. So I just feel like this is definitely just going to build on it all, and the vehicle is going to play a major part on probably making the greatest Metroid experience we've ever had. And I'm going to just leave it at that. So yeah, that's my analysis. Again, there's so much stuff. Like this little loot place right here, like these little rocks back there. Y'all might look at it and be like, oh, the graphics ain't all that cool. I'm like, that look like something to explore. Let me go over there and scan and see what's going on. That's what a lot of us Metroid fans is doing. But yeah, that's it, man. That's going to do it for this second analysis. I don't want to say final, because I might just be watching this and be like, oh, I forgot to mention that. But probably the final analysis of this trailer. But there's going to be more trailers. There's going to be more Metroid goodness. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button. Thanks to all the new subscribers for, enjoying the previous analyzation and previous content and hitting that subscribe. I appreciate it. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.